Hello again, and welcome back to Eat Sleep Boxing Repeat. Delighted to be joined tonight by Jordan Gill ahead of his fight in October. Jordan, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And firstly, how are you?
I'm good, mate. Thank you. How are you?
Not too bad, mate. Delighted that you've managed to join us. And we'll go straight into it. So we'll start it off with how's your camp started?
Yeah, good. I mean, we don't really do camps. We're just in the gym all the time. So yeah, I've been in the gym since earlier on in the year. I've had a little bit of time out after the Gerthy fight. I had an operation, a few injuries to get sorted. So yeah, I've been in the gym months now. So obviously last week the fight was finally confirmed. So it weren't that long ago before it was announced that I had proper confirmation. So it was nice to get it over the line and sort of look forward to that date. And yeah, they start the sparring and everything's going well.
So on that fight that's been announced against Kiko Martinez, I mean, Martinez has been on the scene for donkey's years. Would you say this is the biggest test of your career to date?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's a good step up. I think Martinez is a fantastic fighter. Is a guy that, as a young pro and even as an amateur, I was looking at watching him box on TV and thinking, wow, this guy can fight. He's very good. He's exciting. I remember watching him boxing in Frampton and Gary Russell Jr., at Santa Cruz, all these sorts of guys. And, he's a as game as he can. He's got power in both hands. He's very aggressive. I'm a fan, to be honest. I always have been a fan of Kiko, and for me now to get to a point where I'm in these fights with top 10 Ring Magazine ranked fighters. For me is a nice feeling because it's not been a smooth road. There's been a few ups and downs, and I'm happy to finally be here and finally be in these big fights.
Is that what made it so appealing for yourself and your team? The fact everyone knows within the boxing world, someone like Kiko Martinez, you send him a contract over, he's signing it. He'll fight anyone. He's as game as they come. So the fact he's so game, and like you say, it is a step up. Is that what made it sort of like an appealing fight?
Yeah, for sure. I think I was in London for the bout Richards card, and that was I think the first time I've seen Eddie since my fight. And I see Eddie, and he said to me, I said to him about my mandatory because I had a mandatory from Italy. Well, I still have. So I've got a mandatory from Italy, and I said, "So I've got to box him, haven't I?" And he said, "Well, yeah, you didn't really sound fussed about watching that fight, to be honest, or putting that fight on." And he said, "I'd like to make the Kiko Martinez fight." And before that, I'd not really thought about it because he just got beat by Josh Warrington, lost his world title there. And thought, but the more I thought about it, I thought, you know what, that's a great fight. I think it's a fight that I can't see a way that it's not entertaining. So I think everyone will lap it up. Like I said, he's a massive name. He's been about the game, but he's still so relevant and still such a big threat in the division. And that's why he is top 10 in the Ring magazine. That's why he has, only just lost his world title. It's not like he's a world champion from years and years ago. If I boxed him in February, it'd be for the world title. He broke Bronson's jaw before that. He knocked out Kid Galahad. So, he's a dangerous guy. So for me, taking this fight instead of a mandatory was obviously it's a risk, but the reward is there. And as a fighter, you want to progress. If I beat my mandatory, I'm still pretty much in the same position. So they've made this as a European title defense. Luckily, the EBU have approved it. But it's also an IBF eliminator. So whoever wins this fight should be number two of the IBF, knocking on the door for a world title shot.
So, like you say as well, he's only just lost his world title, and he was a two times world champion. And some of the names you mentioned, he has been in the ring with some of the best of a couple of generations. Obviously, you said you don't really have a camp, and it's more you just train through type thing. Would do you prepare differently for a fighter like this that's been in with, like, say, been in with the best? He was a world champion. Do you keep it the same, or would you prepare slightly differently?
No, for the effort that I put in, I still put in the same effort. I always, always train to my best my ability just to make sure that I'm the best I can possibly be in that given fight. But yeah, you sort of have to adapt you're training to target the opponent's weaknesses, or stylistically, get what you need out of the sparring and stuff. But so far it's been very hard to find, sparring for Kiko Martinez, because for the weight he's quite short. He has got a marauding style that British fighters don't tend to have at the moment. So yeah, it's been tough trying to find a sparring partners actually. But is what it is. We'll adapt and yeah, make sure that I'm sharp.
Like you said, without looking past Kiko Martinez, obviously I was going to say, is it looking to world titles next? Obviously, as you mentioned, it's the IBF. So would it be a case of potentially having to vacate the European to go for the IBF?
Yeah, more than likely. I think for me, it's the case where I've won the Commonwealth title, I've been European champion, I've won a couple of WBA internationals. After the European title, the only one left to win is the world title, and that's what I'd like to win. So that's the next step. Whether I get a straight shot or whether I have to fight an eliminator, a final eliminator. Sorry, we'll see. But boxing is one of those sports where you can't really predict the future, and you can't. The landscape now is not the landscape in a month's time, because things change. People get beat. People vacate titles, and that's what that is. So it's just I've got to take one fight at a time, make sure that I win this next fight. All my focus is going into this fight. I'm training to the best of my ability. I want to make sure that I put on, the best performance of my career, and it will be enough to win this fight.
So looking back at your last fight, you're going into this the Kiko Martinez fight on the back of a ninth round knockout victory. It was a massive win for yourself. On the back of the majority draw you had due to the cut, was it important for yourself to get such an emphatic win?
Um, not because of that. No. The fight where I got a majority draw was because any other country it would have been a no contest, but because of the British Boxing Board of Control rules, four rounds weren't completed, and it went to the cards. Well, no, it didn't go to the cards. Sorry, it was just a technical draw. So, um, is what it is. I didn't think anything about that fight going into the next one, but every fight you want to win emphatically. But I think just certain things happened in that fight that didn't go to plan, and it was a case where I just had to find a way to win. I had a couple of little niggles, perforated eardrums and stuff like that, that I was up against, and I found a way in the end.
So then, like we say, without looking past Martinez, it's likely you'll be fighting for the IBF if you're successful. Within the featherweight division, there's some brilliant potential domestic clashes. You got the likes of Jazza Dickens, Josh Warrington, you got the likes of Lee Wood. Are any of those fights that would sort of appeal to yourself looking forward towards the future, if, say, you are successful in an IBF fight, or regardless of the IBF title, if one of those fights is offered to yourself, would that be something you'd be interested in?
Yeah, I like the Warrington fight. That's a great fight, and he's someone that's done it the hard way as well. He's come up, won British, Commonwealth, European, IBF world title, lost it, won it again. Yeah, proper fighter, proper fighter. So for me to share the ring with Warrington would be great. That's why we're in this position to fight for eliminator. He's the man with the belt. I'm fighting eliminator for that belt. So that's the target. I know he's got a mandatory defense coming up 10th of December. So I'll be watching that very closely, and looking forward to hopefully getting my shot next year.
And as we say, Kiko Martinez, I mean, he's ranked very highly. Again, say you're successful, where would you see yourself in terms of the rankings? Do you think that win would sort of propel yourself up within the actual rankings?
Yeah, well, for me, rankings are what they are. Like, it matters and it doesn't. The ranking that we're fighting for is the number two spot with the IBF. So if I win, I will be number two with the IBF, and that's the belt that I'm targeting. So That's all that matters. I mean, as far as independent rankings, box rec rankings, all that sort of stuff, it's pretty irrelevant because they change all the time and they swap in and swap out people that they want to be honest. So yeah, for me, it's irrelevant. I'm not looking at that. I'm just looking at the win, at the name that I'm fighting. The guy that's a proven champion, two-time two-weight world champion, got power in both hands. His name carried weight in the division, and a win like that is a big win. Will be the biggest win of my career. So that's what I'm focusing on.
And then finally, it doesn't necessarily have to be a prediction, but what are sort of your final thoughts ahead of the fight?
My final thought is that this fight cannot be a dull fight. This is an entertaining fight, and if you want to see a good fight, you got to tune in. And I will be victorious.
Jordan, it's been an absolute pleasure for you joining me tonight. Look forward to watching you hopefully beat Kiko Martinez, and then hopefully we'll be seeing you in world title fights.
Nice one, mate. Thank you.